You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.
Good morning. Welcome to Loose on the Lead, live from Saratoga. Seth Merrow Steve Byk as we kick off Capital OTB TV's coverage of the Saratoga meet. Again, we are live from the backstretch. Day number one of the television programming, but 4 days away from opening day at Saratoga. Seth Merrow, Steve Byk, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be here. Happy to be here. And boy, you hit the ground running. Sharp outfit, absolutely.
Just for you.
I greatly appreciate it.
Hopefully you can pull it out of the closet. What? I mean, how many repeats can I have during it? So maybe another 3 times. So you want to pull it out of the closet 4 times.
As we've explained before. His car is a rolling armoire, basically. He's got all of his clothes crumpled in the back seat.
I do tend to have some spares, just in case. A couple of years ago, I was walking out, like after the 3rd race, into the parking lot, and Lenny Shulman was walking in. He said, "Leaving already?" I said, "No, I got to catch him staying." I got to get my spares. So yeah, I'm always ready, just in case.
Well, we wanted to get in here today, and it's kind of the dry run or wet run, depending on how you view it. Wanted to make sure the machinery is working, and just wanted to kind of set the tone. Things start Thursday, and of course they drew the opening day card yesterday down at the racing office at Belmont, and uniformly met with a lot of praise and excitement. I've got it here somewhere among the papers. Nice way to get started. The Schuylerville, the quick call, and a lot of nice full fields, and anticipation for the summer, really at a high pitch. After, Seth, what can only be termed a tumultuous first half of the year for racing in general.
Yeah, the Derby and the California situation or whatnot. Hopefully the summertime, Saratoga and Belmont provide a little bit of tonic. And we had a little tonic earlier this morning, or earlier this weekend with the Naval coming back to the races and getting it done in the Coral Eclipse over in England. So that was a nice little boost to the summertime product, and we'll see where she goes from here. But obviously, on the international scene, she's fun to watch, and so the comeback was nice.
I saw that in the morning, and there was some concern or some question, I guess, that she would be ready, right out of the box. And if you didn't see the Eclipse, she was terrific. Magical ran at her, and she basically held Magical powered away. So it seems like an Able that's going to try to come back and win another ARC. That's her goal. Meanwhile, as we turn back to New York and turn back to the racing here and the season, I think if Brian's got it, I wanted to kind of go back through the years, Seth, and look at Loose on the Lead.
Memories?
Yes, through the years, and
see,
and this is an important. I thought this was an important one to take, because this remains a controversial clothing decision by me. I went with the sweater that day, and I'm still not sure. I've debated this internally for years.
Well, you've given me the Mr. Rogers label for wearing the sweatshirt sweater on OTB Live in the afternoon. So I may have to give you the Mr. Rogers moniker there. I think it looks good. I like the casual look.
You also note that, of course, Seth, clean shaven there.
No goatee.
Boy, that goes. How many years? You've been sporting
I
that?
don't know. I've gone back and forth over the years. This is not very good. I like that you've.
This is the old studio, right?
Yeah.
This is the old studio in Schenectady where literally it was like a postage stamp. You were sitting at a desk that was about the size of something that fourth graders use in grade school. It was the most uncomfortable. You couldn't move your legs. It was unbelievable. But then we moved to the bigger set. Actually, that picture, there is that picture of when Seth and I first, kind of bonded and became a team. And this goes back to the sales, the Phasig. No, that's not it. That's a great pad. Boy, Boy, do we look good there.
That is a good picture.
Huh?
That's my Twitter picture. My Twitter.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's right. We said that. There's also a second action shot of that where I'm leaning back laughing because I'm sure you said something funny, or I said something funny, making fun of you.
Yeah, that was probably
Look
more like.
at this.
Oh, there we
Look
go.
at Seth
And
with
Chuck.
hair. Look at the hair.
Yeah.
on
Wow.
Seth.
Hello.
Oh, look
my
at
goodness.
that, folks. That was spray on hair that Seth used to use. And of course, the picture is not so old that Chuck Simon has hair. Chuck is already basically the Chuck we know and love by tipping the scales but that goes back. That's got to be.
Yeah, that has to be a while. Yeah, because again, I do have significantly more hair in that picture, so it's got to be a while ago.
I love it, and I can actually probably date that by those glasses. Those glasses of mine go back a long. I love that shot. That's one of my favorite.
That is a good one
of us, and I got to figure out when that was. So there you go, loose on the lead through the years. I think there's one pic. There we go. That's it with the snappy. Look at that with the snappy logo, and that's the new
Albany studio.
The new studio in Albany. Very nice.
And now there's the goatee, and the hair was a little closer to
the classic, the Seth we know and love now.
Oh my goodness!
Look at that! I love it. There you go. So, folks, loose on the lead through the years, and as you know, we don't really know how old the show is.
I was watching or listening. Somebody over the past couple of weeks said, "Hey, it's my 500th show," and I forgot what show it is.
You're 500?
No. I was watching somebody else's show, and I thought, man, I never kept track. I did not have that foresight to start with number one, and so I could have those milestones. So I do have no idea what number show we're on. Or
well, maybe later in the year we'll cut the show in half and count the rings, and we'll figure out. We'll figure out. And as for you, I mean, this is probably your 500th show on the network this year.
Well, yeah, you see, so we should be counting. I could be up in the thousands at this point. But yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, because I own my own television production company, when I produced a show, I would take the tape and I put the number on. So it's really the guys in the control room who should be putting numbers on the show.
Exactly. You guys should be counting exactly how old, how much, so that Seth can, when he's doddering, which is not far off, we can say.
It was yesterday.
This is number 10,000 for Seth. Let's take a look at yesterday's action at Belmont.
Let's go back first, though, because I wanted to pull one
Now
up from
what?
Thursday, the Trombetta horse, win-win-win,
tremendous.
in the Manila. So let's take a look at the Manila from Thursday. And I just wanted to show this because win-win-win gets back on the turf. This was a big effort. Win-win-win is going to be the number 7 horse in here. Comes from the back of the pack at the top of the stretch and swoops by the field. 4-1, final time of 131.56. So a solid time that's just a tick off the track record. I'm going to be interested to see where Trombetta and Mrs. Weber go with this one this summer, because certainly with this performance on the grass on Thursday was very, very good.
Well, that followed up not just a good afternoon for Mrs. Weber and Trombetta, but also, of course, Mike had won the Highlander with Wet Your Whistle up at Woodbine on Saturday on the Queen's Plate undercard. I'll have Mike on the show. I've been on vacation, and so it was really thoughtful of me to come in.
It was. We've all missed you on the radio. We appreciate your kicking back off the return to work here on Sunday morning.
Going to have Mike on the show certainly tomorrow. And as to what win-win-win does later in the summer and Saratoga-wise, I mean, it's going to be hard, I think, for them not to angle toward the Allen Jerkins. His best performances arguably have come at 7/8, and so I think that's, for stallion-making purposes and resume-building purposes, I think they're hard-pressed not to go in that direction. However, the way he ran, it's also difficult not to think about
Hall of Fame
Hall of
Secretariat.
Fame. And
Does
speaking
a
of
Colonial
which, Brian Bouyea is going to join us after the first break from the Hall.
He's in the green room.
There you go. And we'll know more as the summer progresses. I can tell you Mrs. Weber, just delighted. Happened to watch the Preakness and the Derby together with Charlotte. And, they were hoping for better. The wet track didn't help him frankly, Derby Day and Preakness. Yeah, he ran okay. He just kind of that distance is clearly not for him. So the 7/8 on the Jerkins makes a lot of sense.
Win-win-win. No soup in the name, though,
Not in this one.
which is unusual for Mrs. Weber's horse, but appropriately named because he's kind of a wind machine, as it were. All right, you want to go back and look at some of yesterday's races?
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at the Suburban from yesterday. Catholic Boy obviously was a horse that was going to take some action, did as the 6-5 favorite. Never really contended with the winner in the stretch. Preservationist for Jimmy Jerkins. The number 2 horse, Catholic Boy, the number 1. Pavel is the number 11. They run 1, 2, 3, and at a $9.90 price, Preservationist gets it done, coming off an optional claiming win on a sloppy track. Because of that, it was with a good number, triple-digit buyer, but because it was done on the sloppy track, I was a little leery of Preservationist. I put Catholic Boy on top, to be honest. I was a little leery of him as well, but he runs a nice second, just as I say, does not challenge the winner, Preservationist, who now goes on to kind of be a player in that handicap division, which is, again, I think virtually every division this year is kind of searching for a leader, and I think the handicap division is kind of in that boat as well. We'll see if things play out in the Whitney and the Woodward here up here at Saratoga.
Well, this is an important performance for Preservationist, a horse that has had terrible feet issues.
Yeah, Jimmy Jerkins mentioned that yesterday.
And they always knew was talented. It's a big win for Centennial as well. In fact, they come back today with a shot in the state dinner. They've got the horse with the cute name, Candygram. Candygram goes today in the state dinner in the closing day feature downstate. But Preservation is a horse that they had real expectations for. He's an arch out of a Dixieland band mare. Family that Emery Hamilton has had great success with Shug, as it happens. This was a Hamilton bred, and this is a breakthrough effort, a 108 buyer, which absolutely puts him at or near the top of the handicap division right away. And so real excitement in that camp for Don Little.
It was
Jr.
interesting after the race. In the post-race interview, I think it was Maggie, whoever was for NYRA, asked Jimmy, Whitney next? And he said, you got to take a look at it, but I don't think so.
I think they want to be very judicious with him.
Which, yeah, probably.
And sparing.
I mean, six years old, that was start number 8.
Well, and so if they think about Woodward and Breeders' Cup, that wouldn't be surprising. But stylistically, in the way Junior Alvarado gets along with him, this is a serious player now in the handicap, and I would be anxious to see Jim Gluckson drag me into that Breeders' Cup poll.
Oh, you're one of the 36?
Yeah, I hate, usually I say no, but I can't say no to Gluckson, and it actually is it's actually a very easy format. Typically with those things I say no because I forget to do it, like the Triple Crown ones. And I'm on the air. People want them turned in on Monday, and they got the show. So I said yes to Jimmy. We vote by Tuesday noon, and I'll be very anxious to see how high Preservation.
You're not an NTRA poll voter?
I am, but I don't do it. It's laughable, actually.
I used to do the ESPN Kentucky Derby poll, but that is now defunct. But I know what you mean. And it's also, as you get closer, it gets easier. But when you're 3 months out, you're kind of searching a little bit.
You should have Ed DeRosa do it for you, right? Because Ed has picked the Derby winner when they're weanlings. He's got the weanling poll for Derby 2023.
That would be interesting. All right, we want to move on to the Belmont Derby. Belmont Derby, part of what is now that turf triple, and we'll see how that plays out. The Belmont Derby itself played out a little bit interesting. Henley's Joy, the number 6 horse, wins. Social Paranoia second, and Rock Emperor third. 20-1, 16-1, and 10-1. The favorite was Seismic Wave at 9-2, so the betting public really was kind of searching around. Henley's Joy was not in my mix. I put Digital Age on top. That one winds up running 4th for Chad. It was a wide open race, as was evidenced by the betting in the betting public, with a favorite being 9-2. But it was for me, the the triple, the exacta, the winner, a little hard to come by, but Henley's Joy does get it done at a $43 and change mutual.
There was so much going on in this race, and it was so difficult to get a handle on what was the best way to approach it. And I agree about Digital Age, but the whole set of serious contenders from Chad Brown ended up, in the 12, 13, and 14 hole. No matter how good they are and no matter how much they might rally, you still were going to have to pass a number of horses. And it did feel, I wrote this up myself, and I said, I think you want horses that are going to be forward going, that make a run and have options, to not to have to pass 12 horses. And that's the way it played out, but Henley's Joy and Social Paranoia were not easy to come by. I had tickets, Seth, multi-race tickets, where I used 4 and 6 and even 8 and did not have either one of the top 2 finishers. I'll be honest, Rock Emperor wasn't really a horse that I wanted much to do with. You had 3 horses at 9-2, 11-2, and 5-1. Then you had 9 horses in the teens. This was a crazy, crazy group, and I congratulations to Jeff Bloom, who has got Midnight Bizou with Steve Asmussen. This is a horse that the Ramseys bred. That's a Kitten's Joy that stands at one of our sponsors, Hill and Dale, of course. And if you had him, God bless you. This was one of those things where you picked and prayed. I think I had no set way to approach this reasonably.
A couple other interesting horses in there. Master Fencer from Japan, and that one wound up 13th in the field of 14. Spinoff to me was interesting, trying the turf. I like Spinoff as a 3-year-old early in this year. I didn't like him yesterday necessarily, but I thought it was interesting as a horse trying. They put up $1 million on the grass, so he jumps over there, but he wound up 11th in the field of 14.
All the horses that had mojo that people were talking about, horses you mentioned. Spinoff was 10-1, 11-1. English B got a big buzz, and I liked English B going back to the Murphy, and certainly used him here. He was 10-1. Cape of Good Hope, seemingly the best of the O'Brien runners. He basically just went around. He never, supposedly the firm ground was going to be a positive for him. Barely got a call. Etc., etc. Plus que Parfait ran okay. Seismic Wave, I didn't like him that much more than anybody else. This was crazy.
And Henley's Joy is going to be interesting to see next out, because Jeff Bloom, after the race, commented he'd had a bunch of trouble. His 2-year-old season was very promising. 3-year-old season, maybe not so much, but he commented on trouble trips the horse had, didn't have one he thought yesterday and got through. So we'll see next time if he can put a couple together.
That gets into sitting third and basically gaining early position. Terrific ride by Jose Lezcano. And, Manny Franco, Social Paranoia. I thought that Spinoff would be where Social Paranoia was. The two of them both of the Pletcher horses kind of had the same style. And so it was going to be interesting to see, how I thought Luis Saez, particularly taking over on Spinoff, would have him more forwardly placed. And he ended up 6th, 7th early, and, then basically didn't back up through the field, but he didn't really ever put in a serious run. Rock Emperor and Digital Age both did make their late runs and ran fine. Yeah. But, when you got to pass 12 horses, it's hard. And on that racetrack, too, don't forget, there hadn't been rain downstate for 3-4 days, and things had firmed right up. And that'll get us into the Belmont Oaks story, where, for some reason, I didn't understand the way Newspaper of Record. This was the place where you wanted her on the front end, and instead tried to rate. That was a disastrous circumstance. She ends up last.
Yeah, why don't we take a look at the Belmont Oaks? And as you say, Newspaper of Record, just so far the 3-year-old season. It's interesting that I voted her as the champion 2-year-old filly last year because I was not enamored with Jaywalk, and they both got off to kind of uninspiring 3-year-old seasons. But Jaywalk wins yesterday down in Delaware.
96 Buyer too for Jaywalk. That was a big snapback performance.
Boy, yeah,
too.
newspaper record though so far this year just really has been disappointing on the return in the 3-year-old season. With Concrete Rose for George Arnold coming out of the Edgewood win.
Ooh.
4 wins. Rusty.
Thank you.
4 wins in 5 starts. Going into the race, so now 5 for 6, and that was a pretty nice performance. She's the 4-horse.
Wow.
Number 6, just wonderful second, and number 9, Cambier Park, third in that race. So the winning payoff, $7.80. But Concrete Rose in the subdivision of 3-year-old fillies on the turf looks pretty good with that record now and that win yesterday.
She was in control. I mean, and when she was produced at the top of the stretch, it became a question of how far. Just wonderful. It's kind of lunged at her, and she just spurted away under Leparoux, who rode her with great confidence. We'll see what Chad wants to do, but it really felt like this was the place where you were going to have a mundane pace. And if you remember Catch a Glimpse, the Cassie,
Yeah.
You remember how everybody thought, oh, she'll never stretch out from a mile. Oh, she'll never go beyond a mile and an eighth. You want horses like Newspaper of Record. The longer those races go, the slower the pace is, the better chance they've got to carry the speed. And it seemed like this was the craziest place to try to rate her. This was where you absolutely wanted to put her on the engine. So they'll regroup. She's
More talented than a result yesterday,
The
certainly.
talent is there, and maybe, although, what people have said, she did not grow. She has not grown.
Well, I mean,
from 2 to
clearly
3.
the promise from the
Physically.
2-year-old season hasn't been established there this year. But the John Nayrud, the broadcast yesterday, they showed a little interview with John Nayrud that was nice. You, of course, had a couple of nice interviews with them. And are they still floating around your archive?
They are, and we really, and Casey continues to try to mend from this illness. That will take some time, but I would like to get the Nayruds on. I was so delighted with this.
Dale, and
Just rename it.
promises fulfilled, and it is the
Bob Barron from downstairs from Albany.
And the John Nayrud. I wanted to also note when they put it in the abbreviated in the form, it comes out Jan Nayrud, his son.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was interesting.
That's fun. J-A-N, John.
Yeah.
Yep.
But a grade 2 event, $300,000, 7 furlongs, and his promises
easy pace.
fulfilled. Again, local owner, so that's always fun, and takes them all the way around at a short price. And also, I can't leave out the Dwyer yesterday, because this will certainly play into the 3-year-old scene as we go through the summer.
Are we showing replays?
I think we are. Our monitor
We're
is
not
not.
seeing the replay, so I
We
don't
just
know.
have the local feed, I believe. The Dwyer yesterday, number 3 Code of Honor over number 5 Final Jeopardy, and Rowayton runs third. But the way Code of Honor did it, just kind of running away in the
Tremendous
stretch.
performance.
Again, he'll play into that 3-year-old scene in the summer with plenty of options out there. Being Shug, obviously, you're thinking Jim Dandy and Travers are on the mend.
Well, 97 Buyer for Code of Honor in here, so he comes back running, and there was not necessarily any need or any demand for Shug to have Code of Honor, really dialed in and really, fine-tuned. So this is super promising as we get into the second half. And remember, we're waiting for a horse to
that 3-year-old
grab
yes.
the lapels of this division, and second through DQ, obviously, in the Derby, Fountain of Youth winner, third in the Florida Derby. So multiple Grade 1 placements, and now a Grade 3 and a Grade 2 victory. So not far off for Shug and Mr. Farish for Code of Honor to
anybody
grab the division.
That is up for grabs,
Yeah,
certainly.
yeah.
What was your takeaway a couple of weeks ago in the Pegasus with Maximum Security? I think King for a Day is going to turn out to be a nice horse.
Obviously, 102 Buyer and Maximum. Everybody on it. In the snap judgment world of Twitter, everybody was snickering and laughing up their sleeve until the figures came out, and everybody realized, King for a Day is a real horse, and Maximum Security ran a 4th straight triple-digit Buyer. Haskell, just a couple of weeks away, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, 27th?
That sounds
No,
right.
earlier. 20th?
20th, yeah. Brien
20th.
Bouyea is given the 20th.
20th?
Yep.
There we go.
It's-
We'll be down. We'll be down there. You coming down?
I don't think so. I'm tied in up here. I'm tied on up here once the meet starts. I can't move around like you. I'm tied in.
I'm like
People have to see. They like to see you. They have to see me.
Wow. Wow. How about that? Huh? Look at him.
That'll get some kind of response,
Oh,
I'm sure.
absolutely. Wait till Wednesday and I stick it to you on radio.
All right. Speaking of Brien Bouyea, why don't we take a break and bring Brien in? He has a new book with co-author Michael Veach. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, talk about upcoming events. National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, right across the street from the racetrack. I always say every year, if you've never been to the museum, you come to a day at the races, come a little early and go. It is literally across the street.
Seth will bring you around. He'll show you all the exhibits. He's a tour guide in his spare time.
I could probably do a decent little job at that. But we'll have Brien on right after this. Stay tuned. Day one, the first show on the network for the Saratoga meet. Loose on the Lead continues right after this.
Pick, bet, and cheer on live racing from Woodbine and Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds, incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields with over 130 thoroughbred and 160 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk Park players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbine.com.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Welcome back to Loose on the Lead, live from Saratoga, day one. The meet starts on Thursday. We're giving you a little preview here, and one of the things we wanted to preview, as we said before the break, the upcoming season at the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, right across the street. We're joined now by, from the Racing Museum, Brien Bouyea. Good morning.
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. Why don't we just kick off and we'll talk about events, and you got the new book and we want to hit on that. But why don't we talk a little bit about what comes up, the main event at the Hall of Fame this year, Friday, August 2nd, the 2019 induction. Talk a little bit about this year's class.
Yeah, obviously for the second year in a row we have a big class. It's 16 members, and that's because we've had the Pillars of the Turf, and it's been a category that only came around in 2013, so we had a lot of catching up to do. The museum's executive committee for both last year and this year gave the committee power to induct as many as 12, and this year it's a great class, and we're honored to have some living inductees to be part of that this year. Especially Mary Lou Whitney here in Saratoga, such a huge name over the years. But when you look at Dick Duchessois and Ted Bassett and William Farish, I mean, it's great to have these people with us while we get to recognize them this year. And then the great historical ones, 2 more members of the Phipps family getting in, Ogden Phipps and Gladys Mills Phipps, kind of the matriarch of that family dynasty. As well as the likes of James R. Keene and Christopher Chenery, Jimmy Kilroe. So those are great. Obviously, the main jockey this year is Craig Peretz finally getting in. Long overdue, in my opinion, but it's finally great to honor him this year. But we've got some great racehorses as well. A couple of wonderful ones from the 70s, and Bouyea and My Juliet, and obviously Royal Delta. So it's a great class. We're really excited about it.
And again, it's Friday, August 2nd, 10:30. We'll remind people as we get closer and closer. But it seems like over the past few years, sellout crowd. It's really become a popular event over there.
Yeah, I mean, when the inductees basically make this show, obviously, but we try to put on a really good production. We work with G.D. Hieronymus from Keeneland, who puts together these great videos to highlight the careers. And we've been fortunate enough to have Tom Durkin as a master of ceremonies in recent years. We had Kenny Rice last year, who was outstanding, but Tom's back this year. It's a great event, and it's just kind of a nice way to honor the legends of the sport. So it's been very popular.
It's amazing because I can remember when you literally could just walk over on the morning of induction and just walk into the Humphrey Finney Pavilion and just either take a seat or stand in the back. And now it's become impossible.
You got to get there early. It's one of those things. I mean, we want it to be open and free to the public, but if you can't make it there, we've added it to our website. You can stream it right on racingmuseum.org. A lot of the other industry publications will pick up the stream and everything. So if you can't make it here, we'll show it right in the Hall of Fame at the museum. If you get shut out, but if you get there early enough, you should be able to get a seat.
Well, I can tell you somebody that's going to arrive early and has been waiting a long time for this, and that's Tony Black, who was the regular rider of My Juliet, and Steve Haskin had gone to bat for My Juliet the last really 10 years.
Yep.
And had to basically fight something we've talked about, the oddball stigma that has finally been broken at the Hall against sprinters.
Yeah.
There was this huge backlog. It delayed Kona Gold. I mean,
still delayed.
It's still delayed, exactly. And Housebuster and so forth. This has been a topic. There have been people that over the years, and I think that this is dissipating, that didn't want to acknowledge that sprinters had a place of distinction in the game. It's a bizarre
Even though
notion.
most American racing is sprinting.
It was the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, and you see it kind of with the steeplechasers too. People don't seem to understand that they're thoroughbreds, and we honor them once every 4 years, and you have kind of some strange, I don't know if prejudice is the right word, but it really well might be. You see it in other sports too. Baseball, there seems to be a thing about closers. It's like, some people just have their biases, and it is what it is, but it's great to see, My Juliet get in. When she won the Eclipse Award, I mean, that wasn't when they had male and female designations.
Correct.
I mean, this was a filly that went out and beat the boys on a lot of occasions, and you look at her career, and it makes you wonder. Steve is right to have been pushing this for so many years, and glad the committee finally got her in.
Well, I'm excited for Tony.
Yeah.
I think that with some variety of help, the breeders are around. Winfield's in Bowling Green.
Yep.
And either they or Tony have found a couple of second generation.
They're coming to the ceremony. There are a couple
Very good.
members of the Breeders' family that will be here for the ceremony.
And also she had 2 trainers.
Yep.
That are both long gone. but I guess there's some.
We've been
that,
reaching out to some of Eugene Euster's family, see if there's anybody to come. But Tony's going to be, you know him. I think he's going to be the star of the show. When he gets up there, and I think he posted on Facebook the day she got in. He was wearing the silks and everything.
I told him.
It was great.
He had said on the air that he had the picture.
Yeah.
He had the silks. I said, well, get in, put the silks on, and put on your pants and your boots. And he took that picture.
Yeah, it's great.
Because Tony is still getting on horses and is taking the occasional mount. He's 68 years old and could ride anywhere today.
Yeah. No, we're excited, and Bouyea, that's another one that I haven't understood.
Peter Brandt obviously going to.
Peter will be here. George Strawbridge will be here.
Nice.
So we're really excited about it, and that's another one that you look at the record and you say, what took so long?
Yeah,
but it just shows how tough it is to get into the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of great ones that this historic review committee is still looking through, and Bouyea, set a world record. Won an Eclipse Award. Won multiple races that were grade ones or would go on to be grade ones. Was a group winner over in France beforehand. It's we're really excited about this class.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be fun. That's coming up again. We'll remind people as we get closer and closer to this ceremony. Let's hit on a few other, before we get to the book, the upcoming events. Call for submissions for the photo finish jury exhibition. You have until the end of the year to submit photos, and really it's open to anybody, right?
Absolutely, and this was a project that we kind of brought back. This is something they did back in the day, and then they discontinued it for a while. But we want to be as interactive as possible at this museum and involve as many people as possible. And this exhibition, whether you're just somebody who goes out with a camera, to try to get a nice picture, or I try myself, try to take some good photos every now and then. Or if you're a pro, we had a lot of professionals submit stuff, and it's a juried exhibition, and we select a lot of them that will go on display in our Von Stade gallery, and several more that will be part of the online exhibit. But it was very popular, and the talent of photographers out there is amazing. We see them daily in this sport. This sport just lends itself to that beauty, and the Barbara Livingstons and the Skip Dixtines and the Coglaneses, but there's so many other wonderfully talented people that deserve the exposure of something like this.
Yeah, certainly locally we have some of the top professional photographers. But again, this is open to everybody at the end of the year, and it'll be the exhibit will be next summer.
Yes, correct. Yep.
The pictures, is there a time stamp, a time frame?
Nope, they can do it. It can be at the track, it can be at the farm, it can be. If you have something that's in your archive from 5 years ago that you love, that you think is a great shot, and you want to submit it,
I've got a couple. I've got a shot.
Absolutely.
It never occurred to me at the time. I've got a shot of Ramon Dominguez that is unbelievable. I've got that picture of Durkin.
That was very good.
Always Dreaming won the Derby, coming onto the grass at church. I've got some pictures I'm really
Send them
proud
in.
of.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It's we looked at the ones that you saw in this first exhibition. It was such a variety. It was morning workouts. It was horses breaking from the gate. It was whimsical shots of jockeys, interaction with fans, retired thoroughbreds on the farm. As long as it has something to do with racing, we didn't want to limit photographers' abilities. So if you got something you think is worthwhile, send it in. Absolutely.
Your photo could wind up across the street in the National Museum of Racing.
Could make the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Right. You have until the end of the year to submit. Visit the website, and also part of the press release that went out on that, you talk about the photo finish tour that will come up Sunday, August 25th. Small group, if folks are interested, will be taken on the backstretch with a professional photographer to kind of get some pointers and take some pictures.
Yeah, Donna McAdams, who's a wonderful photographer. She's actually doing a residency at Yaddo right now. We'll take a group out and you'll go on the Oklahoma track and see the backstretch, and she'll work with you on. It's more for a basics, a beginner's course. Work on composition, work on lighting and how to determine these things. But it's a great thing if you're interested in learning about photography a little more, and an opportunity to get on the backstretch here.
It just occurs to me too, how much of a boost are you going to get from the extra day of Dark Day?
We hope so. We hope it's a big thing.
Should be huge for you.
Tuesdays were always a big day for us. People coming in, and now Mondays and Tuesdays, if you're up here for the entire meet, an extra day to explore the things in town, explore the museum and everything else in Saratoga. So we're hoping it's going to be great. Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be
right across the street. And finally, speaking of right across the street, the Fabulous and Fast exhibition is open over there. Fabulous and Fast, the female horses Hall of Fame. We talked about My Juliet just a few moments ago, but again, if folks want to go over, that's one of the main exhibitions over there right now.
Yeah, and that's a companion exhibit. See, that's open now, and July 20th we will open the Women in Racing exhibit, which is a really big thing. It's an exhibit that we've been working on for a couple of years, and just chronicling the role women have had in this sport since the beginning as owners, trainers, jockeys, breeders, media professionals. We've been out interviewing, pioneers of the game, Barbara Jo Rubin, and Julie Crone has done segments with us, Janet Elliott. So we've chronicled these stories, and we brought it to life. We've got a lot of great memorabilia in there, some stuff that's never been seen before, but we're really excited about it. We think it'll be a great thing this summer.
And that opens
July 20th. Yep.
Very good.
July 20th to the public.
All right. Let's get to the big book here. When you brought it up, I said, geez, I'd seen the cover online. I didn't realize this is a hefty tome. You and our buddy Michael Veach put this together. It is the Travers 150 Years of Saratoga's Greatest Race. Give us the overview.
Sure. We were really excited. About 4 or 5 years ago, I started looking at these numbers, and it was Travers 145, Travers 146, and I just thought this race had such a remarkable history, and I wanted to chronicle it. And as I started doing some of the research, I figured, we'll cover the Man of Wars and native dancers and all these big horses that have won it. But then I started looking at some of the stories of horses you hadn't heard as much about, and I'm like, geez, I didn't want to leave any of them out. And when I realized it was going to be such a massive project, I wasn't going to be able to do it myself. And I talked to Michael, who knows as much about Saratoga history as anybody out there. And I've known him for more than a decade. And we wanted to talk about the race's history, the context that it brings to Saratoga, but to cover every winner. We wanted to put in the stories, the overviews of each decade at Saratoga, but we wanted it to be a coffee table style book as well. We wanted it to have great photography and great artwork. We were very fortunate. Skip Dickstein lent us a lot of his stuff. The Coglianeses, artists. Greg Montgomery did the cover on the front and the back. Let us do a lot of stuff inside. But we were also, Celeste Suzanne gave us stuff. Rich Gabriel, Sharon Crude, a lot of the Saratoga artists, and then a lot of others like Robert Clark. And we got permission from the families of Richard Stone Reeves and Anthony Alonso to contribute stuff to it. So really a labor of love. The Alfred Z. Solomon Charitable Trust underwrote the cost of the book, so we're very grateful to them. And we've got an event at the museum Wednesday night where we're going to kick this off, and people can come and hear us talk a little bit about it and see the new exhibit that we have on the Travers, and be able to pick up copies of the book. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. The cover's gorgeous. You could recognize it as a Greg Montgomery. He does the Travers poster every year, obviously. That's Wednesday night, this Wednesday, July 10th. Starts at 6:30 over at the museum. Free and open to everybody.
Free and open to everybody. We want people to come in and see the Travers exhibit that we have in the Von Stade Gallery. We've got a lot of great paintings, of past Travers winners, some memorabilia in there as well. We're not going to talk too long. We'll talk just a little bit and answer a few questions, and then do a signing. But we have some refreshments, and we hope people can come out as a nice way to kick off the season here at Saratoga.
So folks can get a book and get a John Hancock.
Absolutely,
and,
absolutely. I got the most terrible handwriting of all time, but Michael's is a little better. But we'll be happy to sign it, and I think it's a great way to kick off the season here.
Yeah, and for people that are too far away, sure it'll be able to be ordered.
Absolutely. We got a website set up. It's live now, called traversbook.com. But if you just pop in the museum, we'll have them there. We'll have it at a lot of the shops as well downtown and everything.
How about packaged with the Vic Zast book, the 25 Years of Art?
Yeah, we've still got that in our gift shop as well.
Yep.
Greg Montgomery did. It was his first 25 Travers poster series. Worked with the late great Vic Zast, which was a tremendous book. And I have to admit, when I talked to Greg, I was like, hey, I know you did one of these already, but would you be interested in doing a cover for us? And he was, more than gracious to, be part of it. They're just tremendous guy, and we have that book in stock. It's a great book. I want to plug that one as well. I mean, it takes you into the artist's journey, of how he puts these posters together every year. And he's a great friend of ours. He debuts his poster every year at the museum, and actually, I'll be doing a few signings with him throughout the summer. So we're looking forward to working with him.
And then, of course, there's the books you've written.
Yeah, yep. This is my second book. The first book was Bare Knuckles of Saratoga Racing, the life of John Morrissey, who started the track here. And Michael Veach has worked on a couple others, and he's got more coming. So he's actually doing 2 or 3 books he's got in the works right now. Now that he's retired, he's got a lot of stuff going on. So it was an honor to work with him. We had a lot of fun, in the museum over the winter and the last couple of years, just putting this together and pouring through old charts and articles and everything. So we're really proud of it. A lot of fun.
Look at every Travers in the Travers, 150 years of Saratoga's greatest race, Brien and Michael Veach, and we'll put you in sometime middle of the meet too and promo the book.
And I also want to thank, we were very fortunate enough, we had Javier Castellano write the foreword for us. And, if you Hall of Fame jockey, but he's won this race 6 times.
Did he write it in the same broken English? Is that how it's...
Javier was great. We worked with him on it, and he was great and did the foreword for us. So Javier was tremendous. Yeah.
The Travers, 150 years of Saratoga's greatest race. Again, a reminder, that's Wednesday night, right across the street at the museum, 6:30. Stop by, get that John Hancock, pick up your copy. As I say, we'll play in
really nice.
A little later in the meet too to promo the book a little more and talk a little more about some of the museum
and
events.
Radio. Get you on radio too.
As again, we have the 2 off days this year that'll afford you plenty of opportunity to stop at the museum. But as I say, you can also come up a little bit earlier on the race day, go over and catch the museum, and then come over for the races. Brien, appreciate the visit.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Always.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Dave Norton, NYRA clocker. He's been on the grounds for a while now, across the street at the Oklahoma, clocking, looking at some of the horses. We'll get an update from Dave right after this. Stay tuned.
Conquistador Cielo puts ahead in front. Aloma's Ruler on the outside is second. And Runaway Groom from Canada moves up. Runaway Groom alongside the inner 2. Those 3 to the wire. Runaway Groom, Aloma's Ruler, Conquistador Cielo, Runaway Groom in front.
Pick, bet, and cheer on live racing from Woodbine and Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds, incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields with over 130 thoroughbred and 160 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk Park players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbine.com.
This is unbelievable! Zenyatta! What a performance! One we'll never forget. Looked impossible, but it is Zenyatta, still unbeaten under Mike Smith.
California Chrome on the outside. The 3 of them come to the wire. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern holds on over Coast of New York and California Chrome. The Game On Dude is just battling them all off. Game On Dude has the lead. Here's Drosselmeyer out of the clouds. Drosselmeyer from nowhere. And Drosselmeyer and Mike Smith have beaten Chantel Sutherland on Game On Dude.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. We're back. Loose on the lead. Great to have
Once
Brien
I say
Bouyea.
2, you count to yourself.
Well, but you stopped counting after like 2, 4, 3, 2.
That's how you stop at 2. That's the TV way to do it, so they don't hear you say 1 on the air.
We haven't done TV since when? Since Labor Day of last year or whatever. The Sunday at the end of the meet. I don't know. I'm on vacation anyway. Knock it off or I'll storm out of here. We're happy to get Payson Dave, the clocker formerly known as Payson Dave for years and years, and then you relocated to Palm Beach Downs.
Yes. Palm Beach Downs is a great place to spend the wintertime. Saw the Derby winner a couple of years ago, Always Dreaming, trained her all winter.
That's right.
Some great horses come out of there.
George Weaver and Reed Baker and Todd and Chuck for a few years.
And Chuck was there the first year I was there. Yep. So
we had fun. In fact, I should have sent that picture in of everybody on the picnic table.
That's right.
When Angel Cordero came by and it was really fun with Susan Ditter and.
There's a great group there. And the number of winners that come out of there, it's pretty good. There's a lot of winners.
Just Todd's barn alone, and of course George Weaver. Who every year we have a George Weaver seating here on the show. And does the alligator in the lake have a name?
No, but he helps. He's on the lookout for winners like everybody else.
There's an alligator.
Winners are dinners.
How old is he?
I'm not sure how old he is, but Rusty Arnold, his assistant that had a string there, he had, the pond is decent size for the infield there. And Rusty Arnold's assistant would go out in the afternoons fishing in a little 10-foot boat. The alligator's bigger than the boat. So it's a good sized gator.
Well, and basically every so often, right? He comes up on
when we have warm days, he'll show up. On the cooler days, you don't usually see him. But on the warm days down there in the wintertime in Florida, he'll make an appearance. And there's sometimes he comes up on the bank. Other times we just see him swimming a little island there.
When I went that season when Chuck was there, and I'd come, and it's always entertaining. When you're from this part of the country, going down to Florida and checking out the alligator, very exciting.
Well, I mean, there's alligators. There were armadillos there.
Not as much fun.
No, the bird life is crazy down there. There's hawks, there's owls. You see all sorts.
Well, it's great to have you back up here for the season, of course. And over the years, as the clocking in the East Coast has kind of caught up with the West Coast a little bit. And clocking reports, DRF in particular, you've contributed to off and on for years, and now working for NYRA and doing it in an official capacity.
I've been with NYRA now for quite a while. Actually, I was with NYRA before I started with the contributing to DRF. Yep. Currently, I am with NYRA from roughly May. It was going to be through October, but I'm going to Keeneland for the Keeneland meet. Keeneland's got me clocking for them, and then just shortly after that, I'll be back down to Florida.
Very nice. Well, in the meantime, here we are and watching the horses. How many barns are right now? And of course, everybody will break camp later today and start to head up. But how many horses have been on the grounds since you started the last month or so?
Well, the number has increased quite a bit here in the last 2 weeks. I don't have the exact count. I'm going to say that we've got something in the neighborhood between 600 and 700 horses on the ground. Okay. But it could be a little bit more than that because the last few days there have been quite a few coming in. There's some of the Kentucky guys who come in. Steve Asmussen has got his barn in. Brad Cox, I saw his horses out there this morning. Dwayne Lucas. So some of the Kentucky guys have shipped in.
The main track was slower to get open this year because of the construction on the club.
Correct.
But now we're in the mornings. Main track.
Yeah, I think yesterday there were something in the neighborhood of 60 or so horses that worked on the main track. Today was a light day, basically both places, but there's plenty of action.
One of the things that happens early on in the spring and summer, as 2-year-olds make their way north from sales grounds, notably OBS, etc., it's quiet up here, and it's a little easier to take your 2-year-old and start your 2-year-old up at Saratoga than at Belmont, where there's a lot more activity, particularly at the training track. And so from that standpoint, chance to get some eyes on 2-year-olds more than usual.
I think right now, Chad Brown may have over 100 2-year-olds himself here. Wow. Todd's got quite a few. And Billy Mott has got quite a few 2-year-olds up here also. A barn to watch, I think Jeremiah Englehart is going to have a good meet with 2-year-olds. He's got some nice ones.
I was looking through your Twitter feed and saw, going back to when you were at Keeneland, you gave Vacoma a nice rating before he had the win down there. It was a B+. But I think comments are what makes the difference. And talk a little bit about, as a clocker, the importance of watching horses over time, because your comment on Vacoma was it was one of the best workouts you've seen for him. So it's comparative. It's not just the time looking at that one workout. It's one workout to the other and watching a horse improve.
Definitely. I mean, when you're looking at workouts, the time I mean, it has some value, but it is far from the most valuable thing when you're looking at workouts. You want to be looking at how they're doing it, and in terms of progression from 1 week to the next week to the next week. That's a big thing. You're looking for improvement, and for me, when I'm looking at a workout, I'm looking at both the horse and the rider. What are the signs you're getting from the horse? What is the rider doing to get whatever effort the horse is giving out of him? And so if the horse is being asked, that's a lot different than if he's under a pretty good hold. So the time doesn't reflect any of that. You need to actually see what they're doing, how they're moving, how fluid is their gait. Gallop outs are very important with some trainers. For instance, down there at Palm Beach Downs, the gallop out for the Todd Pledger horses is very, very important. Whereas the gallop outs for the George Weaver horses, he doesn't ask his horses to gallop out, so you don't look for as impressive a gallop out. When you see one, it catches your eye.
You should also, since you mentioned Palm Beach Downs, and then we'll bring the same question up here, Dave. One of the most interesting things about Palm Beach is when horses are working in tandem, when there's a pair out there, the horse on the inside has a outlandish advantage. And when you see a horse, when you watch, particularly the opportunity now on the video presentations that we're getting, more and more workouts are available around the internet. When you see a horse outwork somebody at Palm Beach Downs on the outside horse, to me it's a major tout on that horse, because invariably if you're inside you got a huge edge.
Usually, yes. And there was, I think it was 2 years ago, down there, for the first couple of months that I was down there, it was huge. I mean, it was a 5 or 6 length
major bias
advantage to be on the inside. This past year, it wasn't anywhere near that biased. It was still favorable to be on the inside. So yeah, you're correct. You do, if you see a horse that is outworking somebody who's to his inside, then that's somebody you want to take a second look at.
How about here? Talk about the Oklahoma has been your specialty. What are the nuances when we're looking at training track works at Saratoga this summer? What little edges are out there for us to glean?
There's not a great bias here. The one path, the two path, there's not an awful lot of difference.
How about time in terms of what is a significant work here? I mean, there are places where horses work 59 and change, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
We used to for years, when you look at Calder works, if a horse went in 101 flat, that was a serious work at Calder.
Certainly was.
Well, the Oklahoma used to be deeper.
Well, deeper. So I mean, in terms of that level, give us a primer there.
And Oklahoma has changed over the last couple of years. It is not as deep and as slow as it was. Still, it's an excellent surface for training on, excellent surface for getting horses ready on, especially the babies. But it is a little quicker. It's a quicker surface. And all the rain that we had this spring, the track tended to be a little bit firmer, a little tighter, and so the times you would be seeing on the workout tab this spring were a little quicker. Right now, it varies by trainer also. You've got to be careful in just looking at time. In general, a workout in between 48 and change and low 49s is a very good half mile. However, that being said, it still depends upon how is the horse going, what's the rider asking him. With the advent of a lot of the trainers now using two-way radios with their riders, a typical Chad Brown half mile is in the high 49s. It is rare that you see them go particularly quick. So it's all the more important to look at how are they doing it. How much are they being asked, and how much effort are they extending.
What do you do to get those comparative notes? So you were out watching this morning, for instance. Do you have a notebook? Are you making notes? Transfer to a computer? You have a tablet? How do you know the next time to make the comparison?
Definitely a notebook. I mean, every work. As a clocker for NYRA, we're recording, the name of the horse, the distance, the time for the work, and in our cases, we're recording the fractions, the splits. So we're taking an 1/8 of a mile split every way, all the way around, and getting the gallop outs. But we're also making notes as to how they're going. Were they going easy coming to the wire? Did they was it a big gallop out? Was it a big double gallop out? That type of thing.
And you say that, and you made me think of one aspect that I've not seen noted other than in written comments, and the potential for jocks to ride a work versus an exercise rider. Yeah. You might have an exercise rider that's 135 pounds,
exactly,
140 pounds, and then a couple of 2 or 3 works with him, and then as they're getting closer to a race, you get the jock into work, and the jock is packing 116, 118.
Sure. Yep.
And that is rarely noted. I know when Andy Harrington, if you're a National Turf subscriber for Andy Harrington's work out west, he'll say under Van Dyke or with Pratt, and as opposed to but our Eastern, I'm just thinking about that. We don't have a way to designate whether it was done with a jock or with an exercise boy.
Well, we don't in terms of what you see in the program or in the past performances, but in the clocker reports. I know Mike Welsh, Donald Harris, myself, when we're doing the Gulfstream Clocker report, invariably if a jock is working the horse, that'll be noted in our comments. But in terms of is it going to show up in the raw time? No, it's not.
Well, and that I don't know. I don't think I've ever brought that up before. And as much time as we've spent talking about clocking, the fact that you might have a horse that recorded a 48 and change with 140 pounds on his back, that's a significant element to this.
Yep, it is.
I was going to bring this up with ask Welch.
Well, and I mean,
it is.
The thing is that there's a wide variety of exercise riders out there.
Sure.
There's some riders that are, some of the exercise riders are lighter than some of the jocks. Then you've got those that are in there. You've got some that are just a few pounds heavier, and then you've got some that are halfway decent size. Yeah.
You can see it. We've got a 2-year-old. Chuck's got data link gelding that we've got down in Florida, and Chuck's been sending me the pictures, and he's not a small horse, and Chuck's got a guy on that's a big boy.
Yeah.
Other times, you'll see more jock-sized exercise riders, but it's a big variety. If you spend any time, and of course we should remind people, you can come out, before the races and enjoy, watching the works. It's one of the real pleasures of the racetrack is coming out and watching, watching works and hearing the interplay. Come over by the stand, and listen to the trainers, talking to the clockers, and there's plenty of laughter too. There's plenty of funny moments.
Yeah. Funny you should mention that, because I tell people that my downfall started. I grew up in Saratoga Springs, and my downfall started when I was 8 years old. My grandmother brought me to the track for breakfast. So that was my first exposure to the racetrack in the morning, and it was been from my perspective, it's been great ever since. There's others that may judge it as it's been downhill ever since.
I also read on your Twitter that Mac Miller was one of your neighbors.
Yes. Yep. The street that I grew up on, a lot of the full-time residents would rent their houses out to track people. Angel Cordero was there one year. Lafitte Pinkai, Braulio Beza was a regular there. Mac Miller. There was a jockey, one of the female jockey that rode here, Robin C. Smith.
Oh, sure.
Robin C. Smith.
Married Fred Astaire.
Yep.
Before we go and before we wrap, Dave, any new faces, any small outfits that are already in camp, and a couple of ideas or things that you think people should be aware of, particularly early in the meet, horses that might be ready to pop?
I am not sure that I've seen any what I would call new faces here at this point. As I said, we're just now within the last day or two seeing the Wayne Lucas horses. Brad Cox, I think today was the first day I saw some of his. I would expect that he will have a big big meet. My assessment right now is, personally, I would go on record and predict that, no surprise, Captain Obvious here, that Chad Brown's going to run away with the trainer's title. He's got a lot of stock and a lot of nice stock. And, it's very good looking. I think he'll have some babies late. He's not. I don't think his babies are going to be overly dominant early. But the last half of the meet, I think his babies will stand out. Todd, I think he will have a better meet this year than last year with his babies.
I know Bob Duncan came up, about 2-3 weeks ago?
I haven't seen him. He could well be.
I know Duncan is back up from Florida, and the big storyline, of course, last year was how poorly the Pletcher horses were breaking from the gate, and it was just kind of stunning, given the long-standing ability that his horses have notoriously broken on top. And the question became, were these horses that were long-winded types that just weren't necessarily going to be sharp out of the gate, or was something out of kilter with the program in terms of getting horses, to be gate ready?
Yeah. And I think that's a tough question with no easy answer. I think part of it is the stock. I think to a certain extent the stock that Todd had, as babies going into Saratoga last year, was maybe a notch below normal.
What you've come to expect.
Todd has a great staff. One of the things he is very, very much on top of what his whole barn and whole operation is doing, but he's got great people that are doing it. He's got assistant trainers. He's got some very good exercise riders. He's got a very, very good staff.
No doubt.
So, and they do a good job. So, in terms of explaining, the problems, like I said, I think a big part of it is, the caliber of horses they had, and there is no one answer. Some of those horses are distance horses. They were distance horses, and they running in a 5 furlong sprint. If you don't break from the gate, you're done. Whereas once they stretch out the 2 turns, if they break a step slow, it's not good, but it's nowhere near as disastrous.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Opening day winner?
I have not had a chance to look all that extensively. I will throw out a possible play for this afternoon.
All right, that works.
In the last race, I think it is, My Bronx Tale for Michelle Nevin has trained very well up here.
There you go.
And I think morning line is maybe 8-1.
You got it.
Last race of the spring meet. What number?
5.
The 5 horse.
5 horse, 8-1. Johnny V on board for Michelle Nevin.
2-year-olds?
No, this one's a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
4-year-old.
Maiden special.
Lightly raced, but lightly. Yeah. Most of them haven't run.
Yeah, but this one has 6 starts already.
Oh, okay.
But hasn't been seen since last year at Saratoga, but has been working up here.
Yep, has trained well. Now, and one of the things that I have to be careful of when I play the horses in the afternoon is keeping in mind that I've seen some of these.
Right, not all.
But there's many of them that I have not seen.
It's very hard.
So, I mention that as a caveat that, I know that Michelle's horse is training very well here, but there may be others that are training equally as well.
That could be a good caveat for everybody at Saratoga, though, because over the years I've realized there are those races where you get, hey, we've got a live one in here. But at Saratoga,
Everybody,
4 other
yeah.
people have a live one too.
Everybody points
Especially
to
the
Saratoga.
2-year-old races. I mean, everybody loves their 2-year-old, and by the time you go from the grandstand to the paddock, you've been touted on 5 horses out of 9. It's insane.
So,
Dave,
very good. Great seeing you again,
always,
Steve.
always.
Appreciate it. And we'll look forward to your work throughout the meet.
Sounds good. And best of luck, you guys. Cash up your tickets.
Absolutely.
All right, sit tight.
Stay right.
We're just gonna take a quick break and wrap it up. Loose on the Lead will continue right after this.
I thought we closed. We did want to close from it.
I thought you said break. Welcome back to Loose on the Lead. It's time to wrap it up. We're running late.
Yeah.
Well,
Whose fault is that?
could have been mine.
No. There was a lot to pack in.
There was a lot to pack, as there is every week on Loose on the Lead. We will be here every Sunday throughout the meet. Extended version of Loose on the Lead this year with the longer meet. People get extra us.
Really?
I think
How many extra shows?
I think there's 1 or 2 extras, right? Well, there's extra.
Well, this was
there's
an extra. This was a bonus show.
Yeah, this was a bonus show.
Because I had no intention of coming in. I'm on vacation, and Tina is here, and she's on vacation, and I'm taking important time away from, as we call it around the house, Tina time.
There you go. She's always good to see Tina, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of the vacation. You're back on tomorrow, though, right?
Yeah. Vacation's over, and we'll do another 6-month run to December.
Yeah, I hear you. And my Bronx Tale was the horse to look at today. 9th race down at Belmont. We'll see how that one works out. I also want to just remind you again, Wednesday there's the event at the museum. Go check out the book, the Travers book from Brien, Bouyea, and Mike Beach. That's Wednesday at the museum at 6:30. Tuesday, the Hearst Media Center, the Times Union. I will be part of a Saratoga seminar, and the guest list was actually pretty good once you got past me. Oh man, now I can't find it.
You're the top of the guest list.
It was, here we go. Tim Wilkin, Greg Montgomery is there, Richard Migliori, Larry Colmus, Dale Romans, me, and Eric Guillot.
Eric Guillot.
Yeah, so it'll be Romans and Guillot will provide all the entertainment. That's why I say I'm the least of that whole mix. But that is
It better be a big stage.
That is coming up Tuesday night. It's in the Times Union building, right off Wolf Road, the end of Wolf Road. 5:30 it kicks off this Tuesday. So make sure to.
How about that? You saw the thing. Mig is going to be handling Chris Landeros' book. Did you see that?
Oh no, I did not see that. Oh, that's fun. That's interesting.
That's a news tidbit.
Speaking of that, I did want to, and I pulled it up. I'm sure I have that. Oh, there we go. Last day of this Belmont meet. It's coming down to the wire here. Jose Lescano, 44 wins. Luis Saez, 43. Ortiz brothers seem to. Irad is sitting third, but he's what, 5? Yeah, he's 5 out of first going into the last day. That would be too much to make up. But Lescano and Saez battling it out.
And honestly, Saez has won. He won the Gulfstream meet. It'd be nice if I'd be quite happy to see Jose Lezcano win a meet. He and agent Jason Bides. Lezcano's profile continues to raise, and of course, yesterday goes a long way for that. Lezcano, he's sort of a poor man's Jose, sort of a poor man's Joel Rosario.
Oh, okay.
Because if you put them together, they have a very similar scenario, capable of just brilliantly timed rides, particularly on turf. Lezcano occasionally will give you an inexplicable performance. So,
all right, we're going to wrap it up.
All right, the state dinner today, and I want to point out that at Ellis Park today, in the third, Cara Katerina on the rail. Mark Cassey sends out for Tracy Farmer, who of course had Sir Winston win the Belmont. This is a full sister to Angela Renee and to honor and serve. And what's significant, $50,000 maiden specials at Ellis. This is going to take away nice 2-year-olds, unfortunately, from the Saratoga.
That Ellis meet is going to make a big difference.
To have a horse like this show up there is notable.
Colonial 2 is going to make a difference. It's going to be interesting.
Well, that's
to see
later,
how it plays
though.
out.
I mean,
it is not much later. August. All right, got to wrap it up. We are way late now. Seth Merrow, Steve Byk, loose on the lead every Sunday morning during the Saratoga meet. Yeah, that first one was my fault. Second one was your fault. Every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We'll be back opening day Saratoga Thursday with more live programming from the backstretch here on Capital OTB TV. See you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.